Hi class. Many hours later, and I had to do a repair install on Visual Studio to get it back to a spot like I was a brand new user so that I could show you how to set up TFS for the first time. So it was a tough one. Now again, Visual Studio is like brand new. So I'm going to say not now, maybe later. Let's see what color scheme I want. I'll just keep that blue one, but I would like C#. And I know this is going to take a second, not too long on my system. Now, I am working with Visual Studio like it's the very first time. So the first thing I'm going to do is bring up Team Explorer. Oh, look, it lied. Can you tell? My recent files should be empty because I did do a repair install. So we're going to hope for the best here. It's been very hard to try to simulate the environment that you guys have, being the first time that you've used TFS in Visual Studio. So we want to use the View menu and Team Explorer. My Team Explorer is already up over here in my tab. And what I want to do is manage my connections because I would like to create a connection to the OTC TFS server. Now, within my server are several projects. Projects are likened to a repository on GitHub if that's something that you're familiar with. So when I come up with the Connect to a Project window, I want to add my TFS server. Our URL is on the quick reference, so be sure to refer to that. But it's https://cis150.otc.edu/TFS. I'm going to add that server, and I should get prompted for my credentials to connect to the OTC server. Now to properly connect, I need to use the OTC domain, so it's critical that I type OTC / before my username. Remember, the / is the one above your enter key. It is different than the /. I'm going to put in my OTC username after that / and my password. And I'm going to click OK. It starts connecting me to the server. This does take quite a while. If you have a problem entering your credentials, it should tell you that you had problem accessing the server. And in this case, you could reboot Visual Studio. And when Visual Studio restarts, it should prompt you for those credentials again to access that username. As I mentioned, for me to get mine all the way back, I had to do a repair install, which was not really an awful thing, but it did take some time. When I'm working with a project in TFS, as I said, that's really a repository type item, and I could have multiple projects or TFS repositories that I work with in my job. I might have one repository that holds all of the projects and solutions that have to do with the accounts payable systems, another for accounts receivable, another for payroll. Here at OTC in your CIS150 course, you'll be using a project named CIS150. If you're using TFS for CIS151, your project name may be CIS151. As you notice, it's taken a very long time. So if it takes a long time for you, don't worry, it does take a while. Now, if you have a spotty network connection, I'm sure that that could cause additional problems. Now, I want to scroll down and find my user information. And as you can see, under my user, I have several different projects. And I'm going to work with today the CIS150 Summer 19 project. Yours, again, will just be CIS150. Now that I've located that project within my username, I want to connect. Now that I've connected to the server, I need to allocate a workspace for use on my local machine. So if I copy source code from the server it will be placed into this workspace. And if I create projects on my machine, I can use this workspace and then check those things in to TFS. Right now, it wants to place the workspace under my users folder in the source workspaces folder on my C drive. Now, some of you may prefer to put your workspace on a flash drive. Don't do it. The whole idea here is to use a local hard drive that is fast to access and is not something that can move with you from computer to computer. Your TFS project can move with you. Now, you could copy to a flash drive externally outside of Visual Studio, but we don't want to use something like that. Within Visual Studio is our workspace. Our workspace should be something that's allocated on the local machine. That workspace suggestion looks good to me, so I'm going to click Map and Get. Now, I don't currently have any projects in that project folder, so it should be empty. I can verify that by using the Source Control Explorer. Let's try it. The Source Control Explorer, as you can see, shows me all of the different projects that I have in my TFS user folder, but they're all grayed out because right now they're not really available on this local workstation. This project, the 150-SU19, is available, but as I mentioned, it's empty. So let's create a new application here, a new solution in Visual Studio, and put it into this project folder on TFS. So I'm going to choose New Project. And I want my project, I think I'll use a Windows Forms app. And I'm going to name it, I'm going to do another Hello World TFS project. Now, as you can see, it has the location set. What if I check this box to add it to source control? No change there, but now when I create this project, it will be automatically added to TFS. So I would like to do it that way. I'm going to click OK. Now, as my project gets created, the Add Solution to Source Control dialog box is displayed, giving me an opportunity to create a new folder if I like under my TFS project. I could make a new folder for this application or solution, or I could choose not to. You may want to organize your work under your CIS150 folder, so you could make a new folder like Practice, and you could make another one that would be Projects. Now, the only folders that will actually be created here are ones that are used by TFS. So if I create a practice folder and then I create another assignments folder, the only one that TFS is really going to create is the folder that I put my project into. So that can be quite frustrating for us. Now it asks me again what workspace I want to use. That's fine. I've got this now set up to where it's going to be in a practice folder. So I'll click OK. Now I want to look at Solution Explorer, and here's my project. Let's just put, come on, Visual Studio, upset with me. The repair install has left things a little bit like it's the very first time, so it's a little slow. I'm going to go to my all forms and I want to put a label on here, and I'm just going to make it say Hello World. And I want it to be really big, so I'm going to change my font. Not too bad. So there's my project. Now I want to push this project to TFS or check it in. So I want to go to my solution level and right-click on my solution, and I want to check in this project. Visual Studio prompts me to just save my changes. Yes, I'd like to do that. And now I get an opportunity to type in a check-in comment. This is really important to you as you're looking back at different versions, so be sure and type something meaningful. I will type something like initial check-in of Hello World TFS. And then I'm going to use my check-in button to complete that check-in. Yes, I would like you to do that. Now we can see the information is being copied to TFS, and we see this message up here that says that our items called Change Set 73 were successfully checked in. Now on Team Explorer, I could go to my home screen and look at the Source Control Explorer again, and now I would see that under my TFS project, I now have my practice folder that contains my Hello World TFS solution. I can see that it's got the entire solution here. Right. Now let's look at Solution Explorer and notice some changes. We've got some little lock icons here that show us that these items have been checked in. So we can tell looking at Solution Explorer that all of this stuff is successfully been placed under source control. Now I'm going to go ahead and close my solution and return to Team Explorer. And I want to use the Source Control Explorer again to open the solution. Let's say I had changed it on another computer and I wanted to get those updates here. Before I do anything else, I would make sure that I had gotten the latest version. All files are up to date. So now I can double click on my solution to open that project. Now, if it didn't go straight to the form design for you, remember just use Solution Explorer and then you can get to all of the items in your solution. Well, for our form, I need to update it because the text saying Form 1 is not very helpful. So I want it to say Hello World. And now notice in my Solution Explorer, I have red check marks beside the files that were checked out automatically by TFS to me. And a checkout just means that these files have now been marked as something that I have updated. So if another programmer tries to update these same files, they'll be told in TFS that there could be a conflict. And then the people working on the project can resolve that working together. Now, when I choose to check these changes in, I'm going to continue using my solution. But if I were in a real work world, I would use just this Form 1 and I would check in just those changes. We as students want to be sure that we're getting everything checked in while we're still learning. So we're going to do the check-in at that solution level. Yes, I'd like to save my changes first. And then I'm going to put that this was an update to the form on my check-in comment and check in my project again. My check-in went successfully. I can return to Solution Explorer. The red check marks are gone. Everything is now in sync with the TFS server. If I return to my Source Control Explorer now, looking at my project, I should have some options for looking at the different versions. Notice that we have lots and lots of options that we can use here. Change sets. Oh, let's look at our history. So I want to look at history for this entire project. And you see that change set 73 was me checking in, the initial check-in, and change set 74 was the update. We could track those changes. We could go get this version if that was the version that we wanted to start working with. So we have lots of different capabilities within TFS to take care of those things. Okay, so when I go back to my Source Control Explorer, what if I would like to access one of these projects that are in my other project folders? Right now, my Summer 19 folder has a workspace locally, and I'm able to check things in and check things out of there. And I have this project that I just created. But what if I want to get to a project that I've created earlier? If it's already in TFS, I can expand that project folder. And let's say I want to access this project. Right now, it's not available on my local machine because I'm not looking at the latest version. So I can choose Get Latest Version. And it says, oh, you don't have any workspace mapping to this project. Now at this point, I could map any local folder I wanted to as a workspace for this project. Or I could decide that I want to create a workspace for this entire project folder. Let's get latest version there. And I could use the same local folder area that Visual Studio chose for my last one. And let's choose that, make a new folder for CIS150. So you can handle your workspace setup however you like on your local machine. Just be aware of what's happening there and really think about it, because whenever we're talking about a local workspace, we're just talking about our copy that's on our machine. So because I did that at the project level, when I did the Get Latest Version, I now have access to all of the solutions within that project. So if I wanted to open this Array Sites app, I could open my solution and it's showing in Solution Explorer. I could look at the program.cs and I could do whatever I wanted to with that. Okay, so we can easily map additional projects in TFS to our project folder in our local machine. Now, what if I create a new project and I don't put it in source control when I first create it? Let's try that. First of all, I want to close this solution and I want to create a new solution. Before I do anything with TFS, I want to make sure that I'm properly connected to TFS. So if it's been a while since you've used your machine, you might want to click on that link to make sure that you're absolutely connected. I know I am, so I'm going to do a new project. Windows Form. This will be my second one. And I'm going to uncheck the Add to Source Control. So this will end up being like some of your projects that you've created before we had access to TFS. Set up my project. I've got everything now the way I would like it. So now I would like to check it in to TFS, and I did not put it under source control when I first started. So I'm going to right click on my solution and notice that the check-in option is not available. That's because I hadn't added this to source control. So the first thing I need to choose is add solution to source control. Now this can be confusing because we have the add option on our right click menu that we've gotten used to using, but this is a separate option. It's not within our regular add. We could also find this option under our team menu. Or not. So let's just do it here. So I'm going to right click and add solution to source control. Now again, I get that TFS control window, and I want to put this in my CIS150 SU19 project folder, but I think I would like to make a new folder, and this one will be assignments, and I want this project to go there. So once I've got it all set, I'll click OK. And now my existing project has been added to source control. And that's what these little plus signs are saying. It's been added. It hasn't been checked in. So now if I really want to copy this project to TFS, I can do my check-in. All right, so now I want to look at my Source Control Explorer and show you that in our Summer 19 folder, we now have two folders, my assignments and my practice folder, and I have my projects properly placed. Now remember, as you're working with TFS, it is a source control system. That means it's going to control your source code. So it can be very difficult to move projects from one location within TFS to another. It can be very difficult to remove projects from TFS once you have got them there. So be aware of that. Now, when we're working with TFS, there is a web portal that's available. So I'm going to try to bring that up. It is preparing to load and prompting me for my credentials. So again, I'll do OTC / and sign in. And now I can see my projects from this web-based facility. I could look at the code that's within this project folder, and it is sometimes easier to delete and remove things and move things around in TFS using this web portal. But it's not something that we're going to explore in depth. If you ever have a need to create a new project within TFS, you can do so within the web portal. So if I go to my main window by clicking that icon, it will show me the projects that I've used recently, and I could create a new project. If you create a new project, make sure you choose Team Foundation Version Control. As you can see, the Get Access is coming soon, and that is, of course, creating a little bit of confusion. So be aware as things change, you might have to be flexible and try to try things in a little bit different of a way. But this does give you the ability to create additional projects within your TFS user folder. You do not need to do that because you can do everything within the project folder that's been pre-allocated for you. I hope this helps with your TFS fund. It's a very flexible and usable project. Thank you.